souls are saved and tales of fallen glories, and it almost takes my breath away.
I was a big fan of Guadalcanal Diary, so when Murray Attaway appeared on Frets back in 2022, I could hardly believe I was talking with their lead singer and main songwriter. The band released 4 major label albums throughout the 1980s, and Murray went on to record In Thrall, a solo album that features Jackson Browne, Nicky Hopkins, Jim Keltner, Aimee Mann, Steve Nieve, Sid Page, and Benmont Tench, among others. Murray has also composed music for independent film scores, and his songs have been featured in many films and television shows. This week sees the release of Murray's new solo album, Tense Music Plays, and returning to Frets to tell us all about the new record is the one and only Murray Attaway.
Almost takes my breath away, and it almost takes my breath away, just to
You're listening to Frets with DJ Faye. No lessons, no technique info. I just talk to people who play guitar. Stay tuned. Murray, hey, how are you?
Hey, Dave, it's good to talk to you again.
You too. Well, we've exchanged messages here and there, but it has been a little over 2 years since you were on the show.
Yes,
And
yes, it has.
I'm very happy that we're doing it again. It's great to hear your voice.
Well, it's good to hear yours, and I appreciate you asking me to do it.
Well, I'm going to start things off with something really important. I want you to know that whenever there is a holiday, on those days when we observe a holiday, I always look forward to seeing a post about your guinea pig, Rita.
On Facebook, yeah.
I
know. I ought to start doing it on other social media, but Facebook is just so easy.
It's wonderful.
Plus, it's easier to do the photos on there than in full resolution and all that. So
I get a bang out of that. I call her Lovely Rita. Yeah, there's always a post with some kind of holiday attire, and it's pretty fun.
Well, that is my wife, Layla. Layla takes all those photos. She takes every one of them, and I always try and credit her with photos. And the snarky, the only thing I do is come up with a snarky thing, snarky caption, and then I post it. Because she doesn't have a Facebook account. She doesn't have any social media stuff.
Well, I enjoy it.
Well, thank you, Dave. Rita's got a following. It's kind of funny. I was going to see if she could, pimp me out a little bit, with this record, but I thought, that's too much of a crossover. That wouldn't be right to use this innocent creature to sell records. So I can't do it.
Well, if I'm remembering right, shortly after we talked in fall of 2022,
mm-hmm.
You traveled to Paris. Was that a vacation or a working trip or just a
getaway? We both really, Layla and I really love Paris. We love France in general. And so we go there when we can. It's not just once. We go there, fairly regularly. And I just really love the culture there, love the people, Anybody that says the French are rude is themselves probably the rude one, because the French are very warm. All you got to do is just make a little tiny bit of effort and they're very nice. So
I found that too. I went for the first time about 10 years ago and I absolutely fell in love with Paris. But I kind of, sort of took it with a grain of salt, but I braced myself for everyone always talking about that. But I found them to be very charming, and I don't know, I didn't have any bad experiences with anyone being rude. So anyway.
Yeah, and you don't even, especially in Paris, you don't really have to speak French anymore.
No,
everyone, it's Paris. It's an international city, and everyone does speak. Most people under the age of about 70 speak some English. And most of them speak beautiful English. And they all, just the trick to it is just be aware that you're in their country and be polite to them. I mean, they expect people to greet them when you walk in the store. You go in a patisserie and you're supposed to say bonjour. And if you don't know how to say bonjour, then say hello, because they understand that too.
You'll be fine.
It goes a long way. Yeah, goodwill goes a long way.
That's right.
Yeah, we're actually going to head over there later this year, so we'll see how we'll see if anything's changed now. But
I'm envious.
Yeah, well, you may not be once I get over there and say, "What is wrong with you people?" Something like that. Anyway.
All right. Well, my friend Jim and I are always talking about how we can't remember what we did yesterday, but for some reason we have some fairly vivid memories about things from many years ago. I remember going to this amusement park for grade school picnics called Holiday Hill. And compared to modern day amusement parks, this place was kind of rustic. I mean, it had the usual roller coaster, Ferris wheel, tilt-a-whirl, all that stuff. But what really stuck with me when I was just this kid, there was this big arcade with games and also, in addition to skee-ball and whatever, they had like black and white postcards of the Beatles and the Monkees.
Ooh, wow.
And in this arcade, there was a booth where you could go in and make a record, which I never did that, but I read in one of your Medium posts that you actually did make one of those records.
I did, and I did write about it on Medium. I would give anything to have that record. I wish I
want to believe that you're going to find that one of these days.
I want to believe that too, Dave. And I did move house about 10 years ago when I moved back to Atlanta. And I had lived in the same house for like 27 years. My first wife and I bought it in the 80s and raised our kid there and whatnot. And then, so when I moved out, there was a lot of stuff to move. And so I didn't go through every single thing. The reason I'm telling you this is because I didn't go through every single box. I just took it and put it in storage. So the hope springs eternal that little yellow circle of plastic is in there someplace.
That would be great.
Did you read what I sang?
It was Hello Mudda, Hello Vada.
It's Hello Mudda, Hello Vada. I was like 5 or 6. And I really liked that Alan Sherman song.
Yeah.
The only thing I thought, well, I know how to see, I think I sort of remember at the time I could either do Puff the Magic Dragon or I could do Hello Mudda, Hello Vada. And I guess the Borscht Belt comic that was nascent in me at the time decided maybe a little humor would be good. So
yeah, well, we obviously grew up about the same time. It sure seems like, and my folks had all those Alan Sherman records, and
my son, the folks.
Yeah, I can picture that with him standing there on the pedestal and the beautiful woman. Yeah, my brother and I got such a big bang out of those, and I just thought it was really pretty cool that you had done that when you were at an arcade.
Well, I did, and I forgot the lyrics halfway through, which actually was a weird foreshadowing of my actual career, because years later, after my Geffen album came out, the only one that came out, and I was doing a lot of solo acoustic shows all over the place, and I routinely forgot my own lyrics. So I guess that was bound to happen.
I saw where last fall you reunited with a few members of Guadalcanal Diary at a DB's show in Athens.
Oh, yeah. I didn't think about it that way, but yeah. Well, it was me and Rhett, actually. Obviously, Jeff has
right.
passed on, and John lives in California, so he wasn't there. But yeah, Rhett and I were there. What was cool about that is that Rhett Crow from Guadalcanal, my dear friend for life, was there. And her brother, Curtis, drummer from Pylon, who is also one of my oldest and best friends, was there. And, Michael Husky from Pylon and Mills from REM was there, Mike Mills, and a bunch of other people like that. Pylon Reenactment Society opened that show, in fact, with Vanessa. And, of course, it was a DB's who, Holds Apple's one of my dear friends, too. I'm just, I'm just full of dear friends today, aren't I? And that's an overused statement, but those really are very dear friends of mine. So.
Well, I remember us talking about our love of Pylon last time we did this, but hey, I want to talk about Plug. Plug makes it easy for you to purchase the personal technology you need at 40 to 70% off retail pricing. What can you get from Plug? certified pre-owned devices including iPhones, Androids, AirPods, Macs, smartwatches, accessories, and more. I originally didn't even want an Apple Watch, but I got one from Plug and I love it. I wear it every day. Your purchase is backed by their unmatched 1-year warranty and a 30-day money-back guarantee. One more very cool thing, Plug is dedicated to helping reduce e-waste around the globe. To date, Plug has helped save over 1 million devices from reaching landfills. And they're looking to double that number by 2025. Link to Plug from the show notes and check out all the great deals and savings on certified pre-owned devices. Plug Tech. Check it out. Well, in another of your Medium posts, I'm coming back to your Medium post because
That's okay with me. I stepped away from it to get the business part of the record done, and I'm like hot to go back to it like any time now. I was really digging writing for Medium. So, yeah.
Well, in one of them, your blog post, you recall going to see Yes in Atlanta when you were a teen, and then years later meeting John Anderson and being very starstruck, which I am too.
Yeah, I did. And it wasn't underwhelming. It was not at all I don't know what I expected. But I think I wrote in that post that by the time I got the opportunity to meet him, I was out there doing a record for Geffen. So, I'd kind of done what I was doing career-wise and still loved all their stuff from back in the, Fragile and Close to the Edge, Yes album, all that period. I still love that, like, as we speak.
I do, too.
But I wasn't thinking about it that much. And he was playing with Kitaro. He was just, like, coming out and doing a couple of songs with Kitaro at the Universal Amphitheater. And he just gotten signed to Geffen for a solo run, a little short solo run. And he was bopping around from label to label, Anderson was. And my friend at Geffen said, oh, I deal with him now, and I know him. Do you want to go see them and go meet him? And I was like, I don't know. And then I started thinking about, you idiot. That guy was like, he like walked on water to you when you were a kid. Go meet the guy, And I did. He's like, did the thing where he's like, yeah, you didn't know me from Adam, so you didn't have any reason to know me. And so they introduced us, and he's like, Murray does the thing, like, okay, and here's your hip handshake back, and okay, yeah, cool, thanks. Now I've met John Anderson. All right. I didn't get a chance to say anything to him that I wanted to say, but I've been in that place, not on the same level, but you're backstage, people are coming and going. You're having a hard time keeping up with them, even if you really are trying to.
Right.
And not everybody tries to. I try to, but, it's hard to do that, when you're flooded with a bunch of different folks coming in. It's like, oh, this person works for the label. This person's, works for the publishing company. They all come out to those things. And you don't know who's who. For all I know, he thought I was somebody else who worked at Geffen. I don't know.
But it was certainly very different than a Yes concert. But I saw John Anderson with Jean-Luc Ponty here in St. Louis, I don't know, maybe 8 years ago or something like that. And it was interesting because I love both of them, but it was interesting to hear them together. So
I didn't know he was going around doing this thing with all these people, I guess, in their, much younger than him. I don't know how old they are, but he's got this group together that apparently plays these Yes songs just like flawlessly. And he's touring and doing these shows singing with them. And I didn't know that. And apparently he did one not far from Atlanta, maybe in Atlanta. Must have been out of town because I would have gone to see that. His voice is still amazing.
Oh, it is, yeah. And
coming from somebody that has just done a record for the first time in 30-something years, I'm telling you, that stuff doesn't come easy. It's not like I'm so ignorant. I thought I know what I'm doing. I'll just snap back in. It's like not so fast, hot shot. You're not going to do it either. You got work to do. It took me a long time to even get the vocals as good as they even are on this record. So I thought it was automatic, but nope.
Well, just a few weeks ago, you played, I think it was the Wake Forest Listening Room with Don Dixon and Peter Holsapple.
I did. What a great night that was, and what a dumb choice it was for me. In that, here's two guys, just tremendous songwriters, great singers, great players that have been playing since they were children, and they've never stopped. Never. That's what they've always done. They've always been playing with somebody or another. Dixon with all his production, but yet all of his shows that he does. I mean, he's always busy. Holds out the same way. And me, I haven't done anything in 30 years. And I never did as much by comparison as they did, even back then. By the time I quit the business in the 90s, I mean, they've already done 10 times as much as I had. So good choice. Here's a guy who's hadn't played guitar and sung in front of an audience in many, many years. So you go pick these two pros and think that's going to work. It's like, oh. And once I realized what I'd done, I was nervous for the first time in my life ever about going out and playing in front of people. But I got over it real fast.
I bet it was great.
Everybody seemed to really dig it. It was a lot of fun. The three of us had a blast.
Well, now I feel like I'm name dropping, but I'm scheduled to talk with both Don Dixon and his wife, Marty Jones, in a couple of weeks.
Oh, good for you. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
I'm excited about that. I mean, Don's discography records are pretty extensive, as you know, including a few Guadalcanal Diary albums, right?
He did 3 of them. Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah,
he sure did. He did. He did the first, the second, and the last one. Rocking the Shadow, Big Man, 2x4, and Flip Flop.
I know there's a release party for Tench Music Plays coming up in May at the Foundry in Athens.
There's 2. There's one coming up on May the 8th in Atlanta at Eddie's Attic, and there's one at the Foundry in Athens on May 17th. Yes, for Tench Music Plays, which is my new record.
I need to figure out a way to get to one of those. Let's see if I can make that happen.
They got cars out. I mean, they got highways out there in Missouri.
They do,
and they come all the way over here. They got planes that fly here too.
It's a great road trip, or a flight.
What is? Let's see. I bet I can guess. St. Louis from Atlanta is probably, because I know I've done it. It's probably 15 hours or something like that.
Well,
like if you did it
possibly
straight, it's a little bit more than that.
I have done whenever I've driven to Nashville, I know that's from St. Louis. I want to call it like 5.5 maybe. I don't know. And then, I know that's farther to go to Atlanta and Athens, but I don't know.
Nashville is about, I guess I'm overestimating, because Nashville is only about maybe 4.5, 5 hours from here, if it's even that far.
Right.
So it probably straight line from St. Louis here is probably more like 8 or 9 hours. And so
that's not bad.
It's not bad, but I mean, no one expects you to do this, Dave. So,
I just want to.
Well, I'd love to see you. Love to meet you in person.
Yeah.
I feel like I've known you for a while now, but isn't it strange that I hear on my songs about Grandpa again? Isn't it strange the world that we live in, where you have all these like pretty significant relationships with people that you've never seen in person?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I do. There's a lot of people that I know pretty darn well that I've never met. Never been in a room with them.
Yeah, I've experienced that through this show, which has been great because well over, the majority of guests I've had, there's been some who were local and they've come over here to my little makeshift studio in my basement, but many, many, many of them are call-ins. But then I don't know, it just has sort of happened that I've some of them I have ended up meeting at shows if they come to St. Louis. But yeah, there are a lot of them that, like you and I. I mean, it's not like daily, but every, once in a while, you and I will send each other a message.
We keep in touch.
That's basically it.
Yeah.
So
we do. Yeah.
Anyway.
Then I talk about your show to other people. And
I love that.
So, yeah. I've mentioned it a number of times, in fact. And I've told other musicians, you need to go on this guy's show if he'll have you, so.
Bent with grace and almost broken, solemn cracks in a holy moan, roars of pain and violence, squeezed right down to silence, cry from the heart of an earthbound soul that could chase the devil to the deepest hole. Thought it was stars behind the moon, but it was just someone in the lonely room. Now it's clear. This is the voice in dreams I hear. It echoes way down in my ears where phantoms gather and the past draws near.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. In the early 1980s, Rick Miller formed the first lineup of Southern Culture on the Skids. Mary Huff from Roanoke, Virginia, was a cello major who also played bass guitar.
We used to spend so much time in thrift stores that, man, the easy listening stuff, I mean, that's when you used to buy records just based on the covers. And they had the best covers, right? The best covers. I love all that stuff. But you're right. We have a lot of different music, and it's like I've said before, it's like our music is kind of like a Southern plate lunch where you got your meat, your potatoes, your lima beans, right, your turnip greens, and it all sitting on the side, and it all kind of runs together in the middle the more you eat it. You know what I mean? The best bite, well, it's the one right in the middle.
My talk with Mary Huff and Rick Miller is available on Frets.
Hi, this is Murray Attaway. You're listening to Frets with DJ Faye, just like you should be.
Well, you recruited a couple musicians that appear on the new album. Robert Schmid of the Swimming Pool Cues. He plays bass and drums on a few songs. And Anna Balka, is that how you pronounce it?
Anna Balka, yeah, she's great. She plays violin on one song. They're actually both in the band to play these live shows.
Oh, nice.
Robert is an old friend of mine, and we've played together on and off for many, 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 many years. And he's primarily a drummer, and he's a phenomenal drummer. He's one of the few people that I would ever say that truly is in the same class as John Poe, who is, probably the best drummer I've ever heard as far in a rock idiom. But he's not the best, but he's way up there. I mean, John's world class. So is Robert, though. So I'm lucky to have him. Plus, he's an old buddy of mine. We're good friends. So Anna, I've known for a while. She's a really good singer and songwriter, and just also happens to be an excellent violinist. So yeah, she's going to be part of this little show. I'm sorry, where was I going?
I'm sorry. Well, she's from Georgia too, though, right? Or she...
Yeah. Well, she's not originally from here, but she's here now. So
okay.
I think she's actually from Kansas. Do you know Robert's provenance? I mean, you know his pedigree, rather. He's the original drummer for the Swimming Pool Cues.
I did read that, and I'm trying to remember. I think you just mentioned another couple bands he was in.
Well, I mean, basically, you could run down the gamut of Atlanta bands from the 80s and 90s, and Robert was in them.
Okay.
So, a lot of them you probably wouldn't have heard of, just not being from the region, but all of us know him. He's on these bands like Cruise-O-Matic and Pillars of Talent. He was actually in an iteration of the Method Actors, who you may have heard of. A real good friend of mine named Vic Varney was the sort of the head guy for that band. He's still a good songwriter, still out in Athens. Yeah. So,
but outside of Robert and Anna, you played pretty much all the instruments on the album. Outside of that, right? On
the album, yeah, I played all the stuff except for that. Robert played bass and drums on 3 songs, and Anna played violin on 1, and then I played all the rest of the stuff. Besides Robert Schmid and Anna Balka, a friend of mine named Jonathan Spencer is playing bass. And Jonathan is a really interesting guy because he has been an actor most of his adult life, and he's been in a lot of stuff you've seen. Like done little supporting roles, and he's got good character actors, done supporting stuff. And like he was in Pineapple Express, the movie, and he was in Mad Men, and he was in some stuff like Parks and Recreation, things like that. So he's a real interesting guy, a multi-talented guy, a lot of enthusiasm, real funny to be around. And then also joining us on guitar along with me is John C., who is a very talented songwriter, guitar player in his own right, but it's also a very talented copyright attorney. That's how I know John. And we're good friends. We're fond of him. We're big pals. And he's also done a lot of copyright work for me. So,
Handy.
but I'd heard his songs and I'd seen him play guitar. And I'm like, man, I should just come play in this band. You know, I need a second guitar player. So he's going to do the heavy lifting. So that way I could just resume. I had to learn how to play guitar better for this record, you know, which meant I had to spend a lot of time just working at it. But now I can go back to my original Guadalcanal style of just bashing away at chords and let John handle the rest of it. So.
And you recorded the album in both Georgia and out in California, right?
Yeah. Not sure if I should tell you the secret of that or not. If you read the album credits, it says Orlock Studios East and Orlock Studios West. Orlock Studios East, Atlanta, Georgia. Orlock Studios West, Palos Verdes, California. Well, that's our house here.
Yeah, I wondered when I read that.
and my wife's family's house in Palos Verdes.
I did assume that was the case.
Yeah, I think anybody that has any inkling of how things work would figure that one out. But yeah, that's and there's another credit to Selma Beard Studios. That's my aunt. I used a property that they had in Marietta for some early recording stuff because I just needed to, have a room that wasn't connected to somebody else. Anyway, so all of it was done basically here where I'm sitting right now.
Gotcha.
With good gear, and then of course sent it to Mark Williams, my incomparable partner in this record, who is in Charlotte and is the engineer extraordinaire and fine producer, although he refuses to take production credit on this album, a thing that I'm going to whinge about in interviews for the rest of this period, because I wanted to give him production credit and also assign him adult supervision on the record, but he wouldn't take those credits. He made up something else, like Head Kablitzer or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But Mark, it wouldn't have sounded like it sounds without Mark, period. That's the end of it. Mark is the most patient human I've ever known in my life. He literally worked on this remotely with me for 2 years.
Wow.
And at least one of those years was me trying to get up to speed.
Huh. Well, he's worked with Southern Culture on the Skids, and
he has.
Pet
He
Denicia.
He those are records he actually produced, but he's worked on a million records.
Wow.
Yeah, he worked for Tammy Faye too. You must have read
I did. Well,
the one sheet. Yeah, he worked for Tammy Faye. Yeah, I mean, not a lot of people could say that.
Well, when I read that, I flashed back to, because I remember in the early days when REM, recorded Murmur, there were stories about, because that was recorded at Reflection Studio in Charlotte.
Yeah, that's where Mark was.
Yeah,
and Don
where
worked out of there too.
Tabby Faye Baker recorded whatever her big, what was it? We Are Blessed or We're Blessed or whatever.
She recorded a ton of stuff there.
So that was the same studio where those guys recorded.
Yeah, and it's my favorite studio in America at that point, and I've worked in plenty of them. I mean, I'm talking, compared to studios in LA and studios in New York. I mean, there's great ones. Reflection had its own thing going. It was a great studio. Sadly, it's not there anymore. But yeah, Mark was head engineer there, and he worked there for a really long time. And so he got to see it. I mean, he did a lot. Charlotte is where it was, Charlotte, North Carolina. And Charlotte's really always been famous for like gospel and stuff like that. So besides the Tammy Faye, besides the PTL version of gospel, they did a lot of sure enough gospel, like really great gospel stuff there. So choirs and whatnot, big city for that. And Mark's got, gold records and Grammys and stuff like for this work. I mean, it's, a culture that you and I may not know that much about. I mean, I know more about it than I used to, but, a lot to be admired there. But yeah, so Mark's just fantastic to work with. Plus, he's an encyclopedia of technical and musical, how can I put this? Musical technology history and recording history. I mean, I know a lot about that subject too, but Mark, I might as well shut up if Mark's around, because he knows 100 times more than I do,
I love all that stuff. That's why, any documentary that's on, even the early days of recording studios is,
yes.
I want to know all that here. I want to transport myself back to what that must have been like to be in those early studios.
Oh man, I know. Can you imagine? I mean, one of the songs on Tench Music Plays is sort of peripherally about that. There's a song on it called "Stars Behind the Moon." In fact, it's the next single. It's going to hit streaming. What's today? 30th. When's the 4th? Is that Wednesday?
I think it is. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, it's going to hit streaming on sometime this week. And "Stars Behind the Moon." It's about the whole myth that was built up by blues records collectors about blues players from the 20s and 30s.
Wow.
The mythology that was sort of put out by these semi-academics about these desperately poor people that made this amazing music, and they romanticized them and then sort of took some pretty undue advantage of them when they would find that, oh, this guy's still alive, let's go pick him up and take him to Newport. I mean, so yeah, the song's about that. But the reason I bring that up is because you said they're trying to imagine being in a recording studio back then. There's a great book written by this Dutch writer whose name escapes me, but it'll come to me if I say it, I'll mess it up. But it's called The Rise and Fall of Paramount Records. And it's pretty wonky. It's pretty detailed. Like, most people might not dig it, but you might dig it. And it's kind of hard to find, but you can actually order it. You can find it online for a reasonable price. Sometimes it goes in and out of publishing. But it is a tireless history of Paramount Records in Wisconsin. That's where, like, Charlie Patton, all those people, that's where they recorded. H.C. Spear, who was a guy in Mississippi that ran a furniture store, became like this A&R for artists like that. And the record label would call him up and say, "Who you got, H.C.?" And he got, "Well, I got this fella named Charlie Patton, and then he's got a friend named himself Sunhouse. I like him. I'm putting on a train, send them up there," and they would, and that's how you have those records.
I love that stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, when I read all that, or watch these documentaries, it's like you realize or remember that they didn't have huge budgets or whatever. They also, like, studio time was pretty precious too. Like, you might only be able to afford to have the studio for an hour, so.
Or not have it at all.
Oh, yeah, right.
Like the way they recorded Robert Johnson, it was in a hotel in Texas.
Right, yeah, exactly. But yeah, like, I personally love, like, when you hear some of the imperfections or somebody doesn't hit a note or whatever. Who cares? I mean, that's part of the chair scrapes. Yeah, I know. All of that stuff. It's real. The spontaneity of it was so great.
I'm right there with you, Dave. That's so important to me. I mean, I swear I feel like I'm being privileged to eavesdrop on a world that I have no way to actually access, that I don't even deserve to access, but yet I get to do it. It's a real treat.
Well, back to your new album. Breath is quite the rockin' song on the new one.
Yeah, I'm glad. Did you like it? I think it's kind of rockin'.
I like it a lot. And I love the imagery in the video too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. That is by Jody Hirsch. Jody is a very, very talented designer and web developer who is one of my close buds, and she and I have worked together on and off of various stuff, not music stuff, but various stuff over the years. And I asked her to get involved with this, and she not only did the record cover, but she also did that video.
Nice.
Yeah, I think she did a great job. It's her first video too. I mean, it's her first rock video, music video, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so she was going for like an old kind of indie MTV feel, and she got it.
Absolutely. I thought the same thing. In a great way. Yeah, this is really cool.
The next video coming out this week is by my old friend Warren Chilton, who I don't know if you know that name, but Warren was heavily involved with Guadalcanal from the very start and was our manager early on, and also did the very first video for us. Do you know the story behind that, the Watch You See Rodeo video? I can tell it to you real briefly if you don't know it.
I don't think we talked about that.
Okay, well, a lot of people have talked about it in online and stuff like that. I thought you might have seen it, but nonetheless, the way it went down was MTV used to have this show called The Basement Tapes, and it was a competition. And you
Right.
send in your homemade, tape, or homemade video, and a bunch of different people vote on it. And, if you win, I think the prize at that point was, I think it was, you could make an EP. I'm not laughing because of that. I'm just laughing because I can't quite remember what the deal was. It was not like a record contract. It was more like you make an EP for Elektra of all record labels, and you get X amount of Yamaha music gear. And so Warren Chilton put together this really brilliant video. You can find it on YouTube. It's on his channel. And his channel is called Rotting Tapes. That's the attractive name of his channel, Rotting Tapes. And he did the thing with his own money, his own time, his own footage. He had been places with a shot us, and he spliced together all this other stuff that he himself had shot. I mean, it's really remarkable. And it came in dead last. We lost. But within a year, the other part of the deal was that you got a shot at some rotation on MTV. Within a year, we had signed a deal with Elektra, the same record label, for 4 albums, and we were in medium rotation on MTV with that same video. So we didn't win that contest, but we won overall. We didn't get the Yamaha gear, so there's that. But Warren has done my new video for Stars Behind the Moon, and that's very cool too. Yeah, so it comes out in the week or next week.
Yeah, I was going to ask if the video was for the song you were just talking about, the Stars Behind the Moon.
It is, and it's not the rocker that Breath is. I mean, Breath is definitely that kind of song. Stars Behind the Moon is a little bit more reflective, I guess, but I don't know what you would call it. It's like people, what kind of people that don't know any of your stuff? Like, well, how are you describing it? It's like, I can't describe my music. Go listen to it and you describe it. I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to be cute. What do I say? It's music,
Looking to buy a guitar, an amp, pedals? Find great deals on all of these as well as audio and recording gear at reverb.com. You can also sell your gear through Reverb. They have great articles about music gear and bands. And Reverb believes music makes the world a better place. That's why they created Reverb Gives, that provides youth music education programs all over the world with the instruments they need to make music. Link to Reverb through Frets with DJ Faye in the show notes for this episode. I still, once in a while, I listen to it in the car, but I will once in a while just be thinking about it, and I'll go back and watch the video for Always Saturday, which I think the only thing you talked about, last time we talked about it, it was always a favorite video, just so wonderfully weird. But didn't you say, I'm trying to remember now if you said it was like ended up being a really rainy day or something anyway?
It did. And the funny thing was the people, it was a British team that shot this. And the director and producer, I guess, were both Brits and both English, and the man and woman, and because it was a big production. I mean, it's been a lot of money. We had, it was like shooting a movie. I think I told you that. We had, trailers and makeup and catering and the whole bit, I'm like, oh God, this is just so completely unnecessary. But anyway, that's how they did it. And cool neighborhood in Pasadena. God bless Pasadena, and, especially lately
Oh, right.
with all the problems. But yeah, and they scouted location. I mean, they've done the whole thing like you do a movie shoot. Scouted locations, found everything. Got all these permits. Got permission to dig up somebody's yard. All this kind of stuff. And so then the day of they had shot, B-roll stuff, I guess, already. But the day that they were going to shoot us, it started raining. And this is Southern California, remember? And so they huddled and they came to us and they said, well, Nick and I have decided that perhaps we could change the entire tenor of the song. And so the tone of the song is enjoying the rain. And we were like, nope. That's not what the song is about. And there wasn't enough budget to scrap it and reshoot it later. So, they'd already spent all the money. And so we were like, no, you got to sort this out. And I mean, they were frantic. So they finally figured out, okay, if we shoot it just right, you won't really see the rain. And you didn't, because it wasn't like a torrential downpour, but but we had to stand there in the rain and act like, oh, it feels so nice and sunny out here.
That's long.
But yeah, there's a fun video. We're playing that song Always Saturday, and it's not a song that I've ever played that much, but people in this band wanted to do it, so I had to kind of relearn it. And so when I sing it in rehearsals, I'm thinking about the end of it. At the end, they've got me standing under a street lamp staring at somebody's window, and I'm kind of like emoting, like, oh, it's like I can't act my way out of a wet paper bag. I mean, I am no kind of actor, and that's why I can't help but think about that and just kind of wince. But it was so long ago, I don't care. But
street lights sparkling, like
yeah,
that's great.
But anyway, but we're doing that song live. Well, I'm doing a bunch of Guadalcanal songs with them because,
cool.
Of course, I don't like it when people don't do their back catalog. Do you? That always bugs me.
No, I always really appreciate it. I love it.
When you go see a show, especially if it's somebody that hasn't done anything in a real long time, they got a new record, or even if they have, let's say they got a new record and they come and they do the new record and then they toss you a bum by doing a song or two, from the past. I feel cheated. It's like, maybe I'm not that into your new thing,
Yeah, at least pull out one for the encore.
Yeah. I mean, most people do that, I guess.
Right.
But, I mean, we're playing a bunch of Guadalcanal Diary songs. So
Love that.
Yeah.
Well, will you be doing any other shows to promote the album, or possibly a tour?
That's the big question, isn't it? I mean, I'm doing this, and we'll see if there's a reason to do it. I mean, if there's enough people that are into it, then sure. I mean, I'm not opposed to it at all, and it's always fun once you get past all the logistics. It's a lot of fun to play. I mean, it's one of the great joys of doing anything like this is getting to play in front of people and having them be into it, and everybody passes the energy back and forth. That's very cool. But, we'll see. I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but I don't have any plans for it. So,
well, of course, I would love to see you do a show in St. Louis. So if you...
Mississippi Nights, is it still there?
Sadly, it's not. Off-Broadway remains my favorite venue here. But there's quite a few. There's like a city winery. But yeah, Mississippi Nights there's a great book about it, the history of Mississippi Nights. But sadly, that one's no longer.
Yeah, I remember we didn't play there that many times. We played there a few, and I remember enjoying it every time. It was a good place. I have fond memories. I have fond memories of St. Louis, period.
Well, Murray Attaway, thanks so much for returning to the show. It was great to talk to you again.
Dave, it is a pleasure to talk to you again. Thanks for having me.
And I'm looking forward to the release of the album and
May 9th.
Love it. And
Pre-order now. Pre-order now and get your vinyl copy. And if you pre-order now, if you don't get vinyl, you get an extra song, a secret song.
Nice.
No, I'm not going to tell you what it is.
And it's available at Bandcamp and murrayattaway.com.
Yep. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun, as always.
Thanks, Murray.
All right. Take care.
Turn back to wine. silky voices, now you're mine. Deep in the dirt, in jars of clay, lost in the earth.
Thanks for tuning in to Frets with DJ Faye. If you like the show, you can subscribe for free at most podcast platforms. Hope you'll join me again next time. Stay tuned.
This is Murray Attaway. You can get my brand new record. You can pre-order my brand new record, Tench Music Plays, right now at murrayattaway.com. That's murrayattaway.com. Or go straight to Bandcamp, murrayattaway.com. That's screwed that up. murrayattaway.bandcamp.com.
I think that works. That's great.